Hey guys, how's it going? It's just Joshua back again. I'm gonna show you guys a quick Mystic and an Elementalist guide. Uh, I'm gonna have to rush through them. I didn't realize CBT2 is shutting down at 4 a.m. my time. I got 25 minutes to cover both classes, so if you guys have any questions, anything that I miss on, anything like that, please drop it down in the comments. And I'll try to answer the best I can because I'm going to try to do as in-depth as I can, but also as quick as I can. So let's get started. First off, we're going to start with Mystic. My Mystic's level 43, so is my Elementalist. And so your left mouse button, which is your energy generator, is called Find Light. This and Toxic Swarm are the two abilities you pretty much start with, and they're going to be your key essentials to this class. I personally go Rushed Find Light so you can keep dashing and have no decreased move speed while using this. I've seen people use it. This is the healer one, and I've seen people use this one, but I don't. The last one's good for PvE pulling, but that's about all I would do. As far as Toxic Swarm goes, this one's okay. I don't like it because it has to reach max distance or go into terrain to work. So it doesn't really, I don't really like using that. But Toxic Swarm is phenomenal. It's pretty much all I use in PvE. I personally right now go Explosive Toxic Swarm. You can get these from the vendor in any main city. This one for red would be this foothold here. You can teleport here. Actually, I'll just teleport because I don't need to be out in open world right now. But basically, there's a vendor there that sells what they call skill attribute books. You can go and buy any blue-colored book as long as you have the associated character level to go along with it. I think they cap out at 41 or 42. We'll see here in a second, but you can buy those, and that's where you get Explosive Toxic Swarm. Here's the skill attribute merchant. You're going to want to go to the rare skill attribute shop. And here's where you can find all of those. This is the Toxic Swarm I was talking about. You get it at 34. Other ones to really look for here are going to be, some people go the Hurled Tidal Wave. I do not. Balanced Spirit Bird is great for cleansing if you're going to prime cleanses in main arena or GVG. That's going to be really strong, but I don't primary heal, so I don't use it. Another good one is the Unrelenting Sunrise. It's situational but can be good, but this one here is pretty much essential to all builds. The Tree Spirit takes 50% of your incoming damage on your behalf, so essentially it's the equivalent of having double the HP. It's this little guy here. You summon him, and he will actually attack and taunt stuff, and he also takes half of your incoming damage. You can see the little link between us. So when people get on you, like you can see I have almost 7k HP, they would essentially have to do almost 14k damage to kill me without me healing. Now, the other abilities you want to have are what I have to Q, which is the Spirit Bird. I'll show you that in the thing, but what this does is I summon it, and you'll see he casts heals on me. He also casts heals on anybody around me. And it recovers 5 power, which is the equivalent of what they call HP in this game, and it stacks. So you can see he's stacking on me, and it's stacked up to 3 times. So I'm recovering 5 every 2 seconds. Power is also not equivalent directly to raw numbers. So for example, 5 power, it would actually scale way higher. I think it's closer to like 50 or 70 healing per stack. That's just like damage. Now, I'm going to dive a little deep, and most of you probably won't understand this directly yet, but it's good to know in the future. But like for this build with Toxic Swarm is considered continuous damage. So if you look at this red mana tree, it shows that it does 75 nature damage when all continuous damage hits a target. So, but that's true damage. So 75 nature true damage would actually scale up higher than what it shows. So it would be higher than 75. I don't know exactly how it scales yet, but just do note that it is higher than 75, and it is actually very effective. So going back to that, I use Explosive Toxic Swarm. However, at launch, I will be grinding, and this will be my first purple that I grind for. It is Altered Toxic Swarm. it becomes a targeting skill, and it follows players and monsters. It also increases the damage and duration by 50%. And it also changes it into a projectile skill. So going back to our mana tree, we can now use precise and scale that damage up. We can use this one, but it's not really going to be useful since it's not on a cooldown. We can use fatality to increase the crit, which is huge. And we can also use killer shot. Killer shot will be pretty big. 20% extra, which is, the 0.2 out of the 1.2. 20% extra isn't really that high, but you can scale it up. I do use decrease energy consumption I have it maxed so by 20%, which allows me to spam this more. I use amplify though, which it actually increases all additional damage by 10% while it's maxed. Or 15% while it's maxed because it's base 5 and an additional 10. But it also increases the energy, which is where this one comes into play. I also use counterattack because anytime melee's on you, it really does help. It's also huge damage. It says 73 electric damage, but it is closer to 200 actually. And it stiffens and does electric anytime they're in it. And then gifted because dodge is huge, especially stacked with this. So anytime you evade, you gain crowd control immunity for 2 seconds. It's more of a PvP thing rather than a PvE. So if you're in a pretty secluded spot and all you do is monster grind, you probably want a different build if you're going raw damage. However, I use this for any kind of I use it in all my builds because of you never know when you're going to get ganked. And getting stuck in a mob CC can potentially kill you at higher end mobs. But back into the actual build, because that's a little bit more in depth. I plan on scaling all projectile damage with this Toxic Swarm. Restrained Vine is good if used properly. I personally don't use it in my build because I use too much other utility rather than damage. But this can basically get everybody CC'd, especially if you use, I think it's this first one here. It AoEs, and then you can drop your toxic puddles, which are these, to your right click, into the swarm. And just to show you what I mean, I'll actually do a little bit of skill changing here just for demonstration. Will it let me cast it? Oh, I picked the wrong one. So yeah, it will, but I gotta change it anyways. But I always use the first one. I can't change it while on cooldown. Second one is a stackable skill, so you can cast it twice. I don't really find that too great. This one is actually pretty good. It continuously binds. If you have more skill points, I would pick this over this one, but they essentially do the same thing starting. The end one is okay. Turns it into a projectile. Projectiles explode when it hits the target, dealing same as effects. And increases the power of Restrained's Vine by continuous damage by 200%. So if you're using a build that scales 200% scales continuous damage along with a Toxic Swarm, you could essentially, cast this Vine, or what I would do is I would cast the Toxic Swarms first that follow the player, spam those, and with your last bit of energy, use this on the purple one, and it would snare them so all of your altered Toxic Swarms just sit on them, and it would probably... Well, it'd be the equivalent of a one-shot. It would eat them so quick it looked like a one-shot. Star Call, it's okay. You can use it to recover energy. This is big, can be big, because energy on this class is sometimes really hard to build. And that's because of your auto attack being a targeting ability. With it being a targeting ability when you're going up against a 1v1 assassin, or somebody dies and you're not in range to funnel on another target yet, your energy very, very slowly recovers early game until you can actually build for energy recovery in the mana tree. But early game it's really slow. So Star Call can be good for that. I would use that, and that's the only reason why I would use that personally. You can do this one without, it just does more damage, which is cool, but there's better. You can increase projectiles, once again cool, but could be better. And then crit hit rate, You know, it's okay, but I wouldn't really. It's nothing special. Lightstorm, it is also good. It's also a recovery skill, which is very helpful. Then you have, you know, the charge version, which you basically ramp it up, and it's displaying on the left-hand side of my screen. You know, it increases the size and the power, so it's actually really good for pulling, especially on only a 10-second cooldown. You can, you know, pull one mob and then turn around and pull the next group, since pulling on this class is kind of rough because this only hits one target. Um, so it's a good pulling skill. This is also really good. It tracks the target. Um, so can be, you know, also helpful for building energy. This one is actually really good, and I'll have it on my final build whenever I have enough points to be spec'd into it, because I probably won't use the ability very much except to build energy. However, having this on your bar with this one equipped basically performs another defensive for you, which can heal for you. Super helpful. This one's not really that good. It just changes to a slow moving wall, increases the power, but that's about it. This, as far as Sunlight goes, Sunlight's a very high hitting skill. Uh, it consumes energy. You know, it hits up to 6 players. It's a targeting / ground attack. Why did that just open? Didn't press the keybind. Game's still a little bit buggy, sorry. But it is a huge stun, and it does huge damage. However, this one's an AoE, so in arenas and PvP, this is huge. It's also huge for PvE. It's great for polling. It's great for everything. Also, the big thing is the caster gains agility, dodge increased by 350 while the skill's in use, and it consumes stamina instead of energy. So yes, you'll have less stamina. You won't be able to shift evade as much, but you have like 10 or 12,000 stamina. So 2,000, as quick as it recovers, isn't bad at all. However, your increased dodge scales off of the things in this menu that I was talking about with these. So basically, while you're in that, you won't be able to get CC'd because your dodge is so high that you'll evade whatever, and you'll instantly go into CC immunity. Um, so that's really strong. Um, Leaf is amazing. It's basically another getaway. You can here actually have it on my keybind so I can show you. Oh, I forgot I wanted to show you guys Vine. My bad. I'm trying to rush through this, going all over the place, but doing my best. But this is the Vine. It's a 6-way, and essentially what you would do is this, and then you would Vine to grab them. But here's the Leaf. You get that, and then you get this little buff here, which you can hit again, and it springs that Leaf. And then here's your other heal. It's an AoE heal, and it gives you a shield. You can read it here. Absorbs damage equal to 15% of max vitality. So if you use that, and then you also use this tree, which absorbs 50% of all damage taken, and then this heal, which is the bird that randomly casts on you, you're going to be tanky as hell. But going back to this, I would use this one. The other ones are good. This one's good for like kill shotting people and PvE, because lower their HP, you could do up to 4 times the damage. And if you're scaling, you know, attack power, that can be really strong. This one's really good for long stuns and long CC. Can also be really strong. I just haven't used it yet. Leaf, once you have enough points in your build, it's always worth taking this. Because it just helps out your allies. It's only 6 points, but I don't use it now because I'm still, well, I mean, I'm showing you guys, but I'm pretty much maxed on points. I'm at 128 out of 131 with proper build. Pervasive Leaf isn't that great. This one's also not really that strong. An active Leaf like can be okay, but once again, I wouldn't waste points on it. Summon Tree, this one's definitely the best. At this one, it can be good if used properly. So it lasts for 6 seconds and increases dodge by 600 and party members. So you can essentially go in there and be CC immune and pretty much take almost no damage when used with like the build I was showing you in the mana tree. Whiproot, once again, can be good. It knocks people down, CCs them, and hits up to 5 targets. Like you can see, it deals damage to nearby enemies, has a low chance to apply stiffen. all kinds of stuff like that. And it pushes the targets back. But a lot of the time, the problem with pushbacks in PvP are they just accidentally, like, you force yourself to miss damage, essentially. The upgrades are okay. This one turns it into ranged, which is okay, but once again, nothing crazy. This one just makes it bigger, and same thing with this one. Nature's Protection. This one's your shield. You should pretty much have this in every build. It helps you and your allies tremendously. It's instant cast, huge shield, and it prevents knockback and stiffen, which is also huge. Oh, my bad. Now you can also change this one to it reduces the duration. However, it explodes, dealing huge damage and stunning when it explodes. Also huge. Especially in a ranked arena, when you know you're getting focused, you can pop the shield to alleviate damage, and then as soon as it pops, you have a stun and damage out, and you can go in for an opener. This one's also really big, especially for healer mains, where no immunity for crowd control is applied to the caster, but you give everybody else crowd control immunity. However, it does have a longer cooldown, so it really depends. This one's really good for burst. It's basically just 15% extra damage, so it can be good in certain builds. And then this one basically gives you a chance to have almost a perma shield. Light Sphere I personally don't use. It can be okay. It's basically pure damage, potential knockdown, and that's really about it. Moonbeam can be okay. It can be used as an AoE pull in groups. So this one basically makes it so you can use it without the light aura that you need to cast it. That's personally what I would use when using this ability until you get the better ones. This one's kind of okay. Once again, not really worth putting points into. Applied Moonbeam changes into a designated range skill and fires into 5 directions from the designated location. And it increases the power by 50%. So it's basically like you could pick a spot on the map, shoot it, whatever. Once again, okay for a pull skill, wouldn't spend 30 points on it early game, potentially later. But this is the one I would use if I'm actually putting it into my build, and I probably wouldn't use it until I have this. And it basically makes it so when you're using abilities, eventually it'll auto cast for you, and it stiffens and also increases the damage by 30%, so it basically gives you AoE passive damage without having to cast it. That's what I would use. It costs no energy, and it just increases your damage, and that's why I would use it. This Brilliant Renaissance is okay, and it greatly increases the skill's casting speed for this one. This one's basically, it goes into a wide beam, and yeah, that's about it. This one's okay. It becomes a triangle. This one my friend uses. It's really strong. It's great for PvP. Not so great for PvE, because most of the time, by the time you would use this and the cast goes off, the mobs would be stacked on you anyways. Tidal Wave is crucial. I use it in all my builds. Even if you use just the basic one, it's great for damage, and it's great for pushing everybody back, giving you a little bit of room to, it's used offensively and defensively. I personally go this one when I use it at the moment, just because it's an AoE. So no matter if they're behind you, around you, wherever, you're not missing your ability, and it's pretty wide. This one's okay. I personally feel like the situation has to be optimal in order to use it. I wouldn't use it because of that. I like things that are very versatile. And then this one is essentially upgraded Tidal Wave, but it also protects your allies. So this is like a healer main all day. Mysterious Mushroom, I'm not really going to get into it. This goes really in depth. There's so many different ways to use these, so many reasons why. I personally don't, but some people do. They're just way too stationary for my playstyle, and in PvP, which I main, they're just, you have to work around them, and they don't have much adaptability no matter which ones you take. There's Toxic, there's there's toxic ones, there's healer ones, there's all kinds of ones that give various buffs. There's all kinds of things there, and I personally don't use it. But if that's something if you're maining Mystic, I would at least read it all and understand how and why to do it. Purifying Gust, it's okay. It's basically a cleanse. You have upgrades. This knocks them back. This teleports you. This heals them, your allies, and this is a designated range. Summon Spirit Bird. This is your heal that I showed earlier. This one actually changes it to 5 nearby allies instead of just yourself, which is also really good. This is what I always run if I'm actually running it. Once again, I pulled off of it just to show you guys abilities, but this is what I always have on. This one is a really good one as well. It changes into a projectile skill, and the explosion deals healing and damage to the allies and enemies within a 8-meter circular range. So basically, you could throw it where your melee are, and it's not going to cast long distance anymore, but it's also going to do damage. Harmful effects are also removed when Spirit Bird heals. This is great for healer mains as well. It debuffs, it's great for arena. And then this one is Spark Wing. Basically, it turns into a damage bird, and it's also great. Spiritual Wing removes all crowd control effects. It's basically a dash. I don't really think it's worth the energy. So I'm not really going to go too much into it. It's kind of a skill I don't use. And if you're ever wondering about who uses what skills, like you could see over here in these breakdowns of PvE, PvP, it tells you how much percentage of players actually use these in their builds. So if you're ever curious if a skill is good, the numbers will vaguely represent how good it is. And there's a reason why only 3% of players use this. It's just kind of not that great. So Sunrise is another one. Daybreak is actually really good for PvP. And it's mainly this one, or this one. It grants invincibility to allies located within range when the skill is used, and it increases the power by 25%. So it's basically, it's a huge, I think it's 4-second? Yeah, 4-second immunity, and it also increases the damage done. It is absolutely insane. Brilliant Grasp, it's a pull. It's not really that great. It basically does this. It just pulls your enemies in. Root Abyss is great for pulling things to you, but there's better abilities to use with that 60 energy. I personally won't use it. Spirit Golem is absolutely amazing. There's 2 ones that I would use. I would either use the Fire, well 3, but I would use the Fire for increased damage. You get another 15% for 10 seconds when he hits, which is huge. Plus he does a ton of damage. But this one also freezes and CCs all enemies, and it's just insane automatic CC that's insanely overpowered in PvP. This one's also really strong. It's a purple though, so it's going to take you a while to ramp up that many skill points and everything. But he has a 100% chance to inflict stun for 1 second and increases damage done by 50%. That one's huge. And then Sunbeam, you reset all light skills, but the only time I would really use this is with, this one. It enables all light property skills to be used without a cooldown for 5 seconds. So basically you would pop this and you would spam your stun / amazing damage, and you could completely 100 to 0 somebody in that time. So essentially my build before the server shut down in 1 minute, I took a little bit more time than I wanted to, but there's so much to go over, and I still didn't even do half of it. You would pick this, and once again, your basic utility is going to be, you're going to put this little guy down. He's going to take 50% less damage. Your Frost Golem to CC, your Tidal Wave to put back. You're going to keep your Healing Bird out whenever off a cooldown, shield whenever off a cooldown, and then you're going to throw these explosive puddles in and kite people and monsters in and around them. They're going to be your main damage until you get the auto-tracking swarm, and then you're just going to shoot them out and kite and use your leaf to get out of things. That's pretty much Mystic. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry it took longer than expected. Hope I covered everything. If you have any more questions, please leave them down in the comments, and I'll do the best I can to give you whatever knowledge that you need for launch. Thanks for watching, and take care.